Yo, what's good, people? Welcome to the Advanced Raven Guide. Now, I feel like I have enough time with the character now to string together a advanced guide for you guys. So, I'm going to start off by talking about his movement. I'm not going to talk about any basic concepts today. We're going to be talking about advanced stuff. So if you haven't seen my beginner guide already, I would suggest to go and check that out first, because this video, if you don't know Raven, is going to be very overwhelming for you to understand certain concepts. So I break Raven down in a very simple way in my beginner guide. So definitely go and check that out. I'm going to link it in the description and the pinned comment. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check that out. First of all, if I have helped you in any way with all this Tekken content that I've been putting out, I've been grinding content, leave a like, leave a comment, and leave a sub, because it will really help me with the algorithm and it helps me know that you actually like the content. So let's get started. Now I'm going to talk about movement. So Raven is a tricky character that has very good space control. Master Raven has always been a character that has great movement and space control. And when I mean movement, I don't mean sidestepping, even though sidestepping is buffed in this game. I mean crouch dash, getting away from the opponent. Compared to other characters' backdashes, Raven's backdash is actually top tier in this game. So he has a great backdash, which means he can control the space very well. Crouch dash is essential, I feel like, to Raven's mix-up game now, especially because they gave him this low. This low is excellent, and this low is great for Oki as well. The Oki is crazy, because remember, you can do... Now he's in soul zone, so you can do, like, you know, this is typical mix, but this is advanced. So now we want to be talking about that is an advanced mix-up, because you can actually hit confirm their wake-up option. So now you see him roll, you can do back turn 1+2 kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So you have enough time to visually confirm the roll. Bang, I'm going to do back turn 1+2. Now, if he gets up, you can visually see it and go for a back turn mix. Stuff like that, if he gets up. So that in itself is a crazy mix, but we're going to talk about Okizeme in a separate portion of the video. Now let's talk about movement. So I'm going to put the inputs on so you can see the wave dash input. Okay, so I've put the frames on so you can see the status that Raven's in when he's wave dashing, because that is really important as well. Now I'm not going to tell you how to do a crouch dash. I already covered that in my video. That's a simple QCF. Now you need to learn how to wave dash, which is down, forward. There's two ways actually. There's two inputs. So it can either look like down, forward, down, neutral, down, forward, down, neutral, or down, forward, neutral, down, forward, neutral. Now I'm getting down just because I'm using a pad right now to record this video. So it can either look like down, forward, neutral, and I'm trying to go to neutral. There we go. So it can look like that repeated, or it can look like down, forward, down, neutral. So that is Raven's wave dash. And look at the status. So it's a split second that it goes to stand. So essentially he's always high crushing in this stance and you're always in full crouch kind of thing. So that's why this kind of movement strategy is super strong. Also, not to mention, you can do soul zone from wave dash now. So all you need to do to kind of access soul zone from wave dash is press down 3+4 or down back 3+4. Now I prefer to press down just because it feels more natural. And then from there, you can do whatever you want from soul zone. So movement is really key to how successful you're going to be Raven in this game, I feel anyway. So definitely take the time to learn his wave dash and be fluid, because remember I said you can access while standing moves. So that means you can access while standing 3+4. And while standing 3+4 can be cancelled. So that's the move itself. It can be cancelled by pressing back. Now a tip for this would be to press while standing 3+4 plus back. So don't press it after it, because it has a very short window to cancel. Now you can increase the window to cancel kind of thing by pressing back at the same time. So as you can see, I'm pressing back at the same frame I'm pressing 3+4. So that will give you easy while standing 3+4 cancels. See? Very easy. So you can mix this up. Soul zone. Or backdash, because you don't always have to do this. I think this is a slower transition than just doing back turn. So good Raven players, see, that was a manual cancel. Now this is a while standing 3+4 cancel. Manual cancel. Manual cancel. While standing 3+4 cancel. So you can really mix up the animations for crazy mix. And I always say this, but it's about how creative you are with the character. So I can't tell you to do mix-ups. You have to figure the mix-up yourself. Kind of just know your opponent. Sometimes Raven is about doing certain options just off the bat and then seeing how they respond to those options. So like, for example, I would do this, see how they respond to this move, throw a parry in there, see how they respond to that. Now that opens up the mind game because they're going to get parried for trying to punish it. Now this opens up the mind game because they're not going to press any buttons. So you can do whatever you want. Back turn 1. You can remain safe. So this essentially becomes a fully safe low if they're scared of the parry, essentially. Now what you can do is you can actually do a generic low and he can't do anything. He can escape parry, but then you can also generic low him while he's in recovery of escape parry. So there is counterplay to it, but the mind games and the mix-ups that Raven actually has are crazy. So I would say really focus on learning that wave dash and learning to be fluid with the options out of it. So while standing 3+4 back, or while standing 3+4 plus back, because that's going to give you easier cancel, manual cancel, back turn cancel out of it, and also soul zone. I think doing wave dash soul zone is really strong in this game. That's his kind of movement covered in a nutshell. He has a great backdash and his wave dash consistently high crushes. So, you know, you're going to evade those electrics. You're going to evade those kind of high count it tool, Steve back one, stuff like that. So this is a very strong approach tool. And not to mention, you have while standing 2. So he has a good counter hit safe mid from it as well. Obviously, he has very strong lows. One thing I will say as well is you can actually cancel this. So when you press forward now, see the last input was QCF. So that means you return to stand. Now you can actually do down forward 1 or down back 2. Any move with a direction will be able to be executed from this kind of cancel. So I'm going to show you it. So let's say I wanted to do like wave dash down 4. That's how you would do it. Now let's say I wanted to do wave dash down back 2-1. That's how you would do it. So again, it's just being fluid with the stance and with the wave dash and with soul zone and with back turn, and you blend it all together to get a really scary character with great movement. Again, I'm going to show you. So similarly, if I wanted to do, if I wanted to mask the low, that's how you would do that. So again, just be fluid. Just practice being fluid with his crouch dash, with his wave dash, with his back turn cancels from crouch and manual cancel. Because it will throw off their timing of like low parrying or just sidestepping. You know, mixing up all those options is very important. So that's movement covered. Let's move on to frame traps. Now I get this question all the time. How do I make people respect me? How do I make people respect my Raven? Whether that's in neutral, whether that's in back turn. Raven is a conditioning character. There's no two ways about it. He is a conditioning character. Previously, he did not have the best frames. Now, in Tekken 8, why he's so strong is because they buffed his frames around the board. So they buffed moves like 3-3 on hit. In the last game, this was +3. Now it's +5. They buffed his best back turn mid from 0 on hit to +2. So already, again, for 1 was +5 on hit. Now it's +7. So you gain access to these frame traps. This is actually a frame trap. There's nothing they can do other than low parry or block it. Similarly, this is a frame trap. Now, in old games, you could actually just jab Raven out of this. That's not possible anymore. I would advise you to kind of look at Raven's frames and look at what he can actually do now. So I'm going to give you some basic frame traps. Down back 2. That's a good frame trap. Throws are also a frame trap from here. Now, Raven doesn't really have many plus on hit lows. They're usually minus on hit, so this is minus on hit. This is +2 on hit, so this is why I said I think this is Raven's best low. Because it's plus on hit, it's safe on block, -9. Obviously, yes, he's in back turn. And it has a counter hit property as well. As this is guaranteed. Again, I think Raven's frame traps come from, they're actually real now. They're not just mental frames. He actually has real stuff. So you have the generic like 4-1, and I just showed you that 4-1 forward 4 is a frame trap. 4-1 back turn back 2 or back 2-4 is a frame trap. This is going to trade with jabs, but it's still a good move to throw out there. Now, if they happen to block this move and then step, so I'm going to set that up. So he's trying to sidestep left. That's what he's trying to do. He's going to get hit. I'm going to set him to sidestep right now. So as you can see, he's going to step right. He can't step. So they're going to get hit. So again, Raven has stuff to stop stepping. Even though this is not technically a frame trap, this sequence, you can stop them stepping. So that's also important. I feel like with Raven, it's hard to stop people from stepping as well in previous games. Now in this game, he actually has the frames to stop people stepping. So I'll give you an example. In Tekken 7, 4-1 on hit was +5, right? So then if you try to go for the back turn throw mix, they could sidestep right. Now they can't do this because throw's home. So again, you can use that to your advantage. Throw's home, but if throws didn't track, they wouldn't be able to step this to the right because they don't have enough frames for it. Whereas in Tekken 7, they did have enough frames to step. So there's just a few things in Tekken 8 where you can take advantage of the system mechanics to enforce those mix-ups. Now, I would recommend to use back turn jabs in back turn, specifically back turn 2-2, because you can actually counter hit confirm for the back turn G clef. Now this is a combo. I'm going to put the attack info one so you can actually see it's a combo. So if I do it normally with no counter hit, it's not a combo. Now this is a combo on counter hit, as you can see. So this is actually a back turn G clef. This is excellent for dealing with backswing blows. So if you do like down back 2 on hit, this is a great option because they can't step, they can't backswing blow, they can't do anything. This is a frame trap. And as I said, you can counter hit confirm back turn G clef. So I think back turn G clef is just one of his most crazy tools. Honestly, I think it's very underrated. Back turn G clef. Same for this. They can't backswing blow out of this. They can't step. They can't press any buttons. They can't power crush. This is fully guaranteed. There's nothing they can do. I mean, I guess they could duck the first hit, but because this comes out so quickly, it's going to be hard to duck punish it, let alone duck launch. So again, I feel like Raven's frame traps are very, very strong. So I showed you a few frame traps from 4-1. Now, I would recommend trying to kind of hit confirm down back 2, because down back 2 is -4 on block, right? So then if you try to go for like this, for example, or you can get interrupted on block. Now, Raven players, good Raven players will be able to recognize if it's on hit or if it's on block. So I would recommend training yourself by putting the opponent to block randomly. I think there's a way to do that. Random block. So what I'm doing there is the opponent's on random block, as you can see. Now, you need to train yourself. This is super, super high level, but sometimes you can train yourself to see the difference between a blocked down back 2 and a down back 2 on hit. Because what you do after depends on if they block or hit, if you're trying to frame trap them, because down back 2 is -4 on block. So they can easily check you out of anything you do, basically, other than like back turn 1. Now, this is good if you want to check him from doing mids to check back turn. So like, okay, I'm going to record him to do... So look at this now. He's going to interrupt me with a down forward 1. Back turn 1's going to interrupt it. So if you notice your opponent keep pressing after it, mids specifically, you can usually interrupt him with this back turn 1. Now, back turn 2 is not going to work. I'm going to get counter hit. So back turn 1 is used to interrupt mid attacks when they try to retaliate. And then he has this if you want to throw it out every now and then. But back turn 1 is really, really good for just interrupting mid attacks after like down back 2, because a lot of people will be pressing after down back 2 now. Now let's look at some frame traps from like Soul Zone. So the easiest frame trap for you in Soul Zone is back 1, because this is +7 on block. So this is going to be a frame trap. Let's set the opponent to do like, I don't know, a while standing 4, because in reality, yes, you can do a crouch jab, which is 10 frames, but usually the opponent will mash a while standing input. So the quickest one is while standing 4, which is I11. So we're going to set the punish again. Now this time we have to do crouching punishment because back 1 forces crouch. So while standing, he doesn't have while standing 4. Okay, while standing 4-4, fine. Look, he's going to do while standing 4-4 now. Frame trap. frame trap, frame trap. Pretty much everything's a frame trap other than this, and this trades. There is one other advanced technique I want to talk about. It's not exactly a frame trap, but it's a bait to press. And I've been doing this since Tekken 7, and it's really, really good for like jabs or quick down forward ones or just stuff like that. So I usually do like back turn, back two at max range or like this range. And you can actually, first of all, let me start by saying you can backdash and forward dash in back turn, and you can hold down to like change timing on like back turn down 4 or something else. So you can actually stagger timing with this sort of movement, but we're going to specifically focus on backdash and forward dash in back turn. So now what you can do is you can do attacks that leave you in back turn. So back turn, back two is the perfect example, and backdash out of range of their retaliation. So like, let's do it up close. Now I'm going to get hit if I don't backdash. I can backdash out of the range of this and whiff punish it. So again, this tactic is so good because it leaves you safe, or safer than just standing there trying to mash. And you evade stuff with movement. And this by itself is actually very evasive. So most characters can't check it. Some characters can check it, obviously, but the majority of the cast can't check it. And the majority of players are going to try and check it with something quick. Usually quick attacks don't have range. So like jabs, down forward one, you know. This is excellent. You can even do this now because this is new to Tekken 8 for a mix, for a +7 mix. So this is super high level stuff, but again, if you can get comfortable with his movement in general, now movement still applies to back turn stance. You can really bait them to press, and Raven Raven is super tricky. So this just by itself, and you can kind of delay your mix as well. So like on Oki, we're going to talk about this sort of Oki in Okazemi. So let's say you end up like this, you can actually delay timings of moves. So like if I do forward 3, you can delay the forward 3. See how delayed that was? Similarly, if you don't want to get backflip and you want to do forward move, so like, okay, let's say for example, I wanted to do back turn, forward dash, forward 2. The way to do that is you press forward and hold forward. Because if I press forward 2, like this, I'm going to get backflip. I'm going to get the teleport. See? So that's not going to work. You have to press forward. See? Only 2 forwards came out after back turn. And press 2 while you hold forward. And this is really good as well. So yeah, that's kind of an advanced technique with back turn and movement. But you can really abuse this on Okazemi because after 1-2-4 at the wall, you can delay this, or you can delay the timing for sweep as well. But yeah, that's kind of frame traps in a nutshell. I would say, again, Raven is all about kind of learning what the opponent reacts to certain moves with. So Raven is very condition heavy, and it's easier to condition people in this game, I feel, because he has better frames just all around the board. So that is frame traps done. Let's talk about how to implement Soul Zone into regular play and combos. I feel like Soul Zone is very good for combos because his newest tailspin attack comes from Soul Zone, so it's pretty integral to max damage combos and Okazemi after combos. Like for example, that's how you would implement Soul Zone to do maximum wall carry. See, it's crazy, and the damage is wild as well. So an easier combo would be this. So again, implementing Soul Zone into your combos is really important for just scoring that extra damage and wall carry. So this sequencing combos is excellent. Now I already talked about back 1 Soul Zone. So back 1 Soul Zone is pretty good. I already talked about wave dash Soul Zone, which is also pretty good. I want to talk about the hell sweep and what you can do with this. So there's kind of 3 options. So it also depends on what your opponent's doing on wake up. So let's say they keep getting up on wake up. Now The mix you would do here, for me personally, is you would just go straight from soul zone into an attack. So whether that's soul zone 3, soul zone 2, or soul zone 4, soul zone whatever, like you would have to do soul zone because they can interrupt you doing like white hole stuff. It has to be soul zone button. It has to be immediate timing. I guess you could delay the timing a little bit, but then they could hit you with get up kicks. So it would have to be an immediate timing. So that's that situation if they keep getting up. Now let's talk about if they side roll. If they side roll now, and you recognize they keep side rolling, this opens up white hole. So white hole is sick because it leaves you in kind of range for back turn 1+2. You can dash, and this is why I said back turn dashing is important, because look now. So if I don't want to do back turn 1+2 and I want to mix, if I do that at immediate timing, it's not going to hit. He's going to still roll out of it. So that's why you need to back turn dash to kind of delay the timing to catch that side roll kind of thing. Same with back turn forward 2. Same with this move, because if you do this on immediate timing, it's going to hit him grounded. So you need to delay it a little bit. Also, dashing and back turn will realign. Because sometimes like back turn forward 4 can actually just whiff. If they get up, sometimes you'll be off axis and then it will whiff. We've covered frame traps a little bit. Let's talk about back turn. So this is another issue that people have with kind of, how do I get people to respect me at back turn? Now again, it's a combination of all of Raven's elements. There is no way to say my opponent's going to respect me in back turn. I have to use Raven's movement in back turn. I have to use immediate timing and delayed timing. Like, if you start going for crazy mix-ups in back turn, people are just going to disrespect you because there is no conditioning in the first place. There's a saying, you can't bluff a bad poker player, and this applies to Raven. So with lower level players or intermediate players as a high level player, sometimes it's best to just go for immediate timing options until they respect you, and now they're not going to mash, and now you have that time to implement those mix-ups from back turn. Again, it's just about conditioning. Now back turn is easily accessible from down back 2 and soul zone 3, but the easiest probably down back 2, to be honest. And as I said, you can check their mid check with back turn 1. So when you keep checking their mid check with either parries, this is also another good one. So let's set that. So I've set him to do a down forward 1 after blocking an attack. So this is sick because again, this forces the opponent to respect you after doing attacks that transition you to back turn. There are other ways to get into it as well. Like, no one's going to press after this. I guarantee no one's going to press because they're thinking about the full crouch mix. And you suddenly go into back turn or this one. So yeah, there are a few ways to kind of deter people from mashing when you're in back turn. This is a good one. You kind of have to time the parry though a little bit. He has escape parry, which I do not recommend, to be honest. I recommend this parry more. Then you have back turn 1 to check mids. You also have back turn power crush. So again, back turn power crush is viable now because it's kind of the old, what happened in Tekken 7. So this is also a good deterrent for mashing. However, I wouldn't use this as much. I'd stick to like back turn 1, back turn parry. Because now this is going to give you Oki as well. Now the Oki isn't as good because before you could just do this. They can block this now. So you can do that if they kind of hold back or if they get up. You can do a low if they keep side rolling it. Again, it's about conditioning. If you hit them with forward 4, okay, I'm gonna set him to back roll. So to beat back roll from this, you do a deep forward 4. If they keep getting hit with that, they're gonna tech roll. And as I just showed you, down back 4 is gonna beat the tech roll. So again, it's all about conditioning with Raven. That's what I'm trying to reiterate here is Raven is a difficult character to play at high level because he requires so much conditioning and so many layered mind games, so many staggered movement options. But again, once you get fluid with Raven, he's going to be very, very difficult to stop you playing that way. And that's what I really love about Raven. Again, his jab game, like he has a G clef obviously, so he can deter people from pressing after jabs. He has a good down forward 1 checking game. Like he just has a great mid checking game now as well because of down back 2-1, down forward 1-4. This string is pretty good as well because they buff the damage of it. That is kind of how to implement Soul Zone and back turn and just all of the elements. You can't just implement Soul Zone into his gameplay. You have to use back turn, you have to use movement, you have to use staggered layered pressure, you have to use parries, you have to use back turn 1 occasionally to stop mashing. Like you have to vary your options in order to implement different elements of his game, if that makes sense. Like they all work in tandem. Like Raven is very, very fluid once you understand how the character works. That's what I would say. You need to use Raven's full move list. So again, just to reiterate, I think in order to get your opponent to respect back turn, you have to first of all understand what they're doing to stop you from going into back turn. Once you understand how your opponent is stopping you going into back turn, how your opponent is stopping you using Soul Zone, you need to switch it up. And it doesn't matter if it's a flowchart, because I don't think flowcharts are scrubby. I only think flowcharts are scrubby if you keep doing the flowchart that's not working. If you keep doing 4-1 back turn power crush and it's not working, stop doing it, because if you keep doing it, that is scrubby. The flowchart itself is not scrubby. It's you keep doing it and getting hit and getting punished for it, that's scrubby. Once you recognize the flowchart's not working, it's time to switch it up. Tesco checklist. Just tick it off. Okay, I've used it, it's not working. Cool. What's the next flowchart? Tick it off. That's what people do in tournament, and it works. So, in my opinion, I don't feel like flowcharts are scrubby. It's just the fact that if it keeps not working, that is scrubby. So keep that in mind. Don't let people tell you, oh, you're just flowcharting, but they're getting hit. So who's the scrub if they're getting hit by a flowchart, right? So yeah, that's my advice, to kind of just keep that in the back of your mind. If something is not working, if you've changed the timing on that same sequence, switch it up. Time to switch it up. Do something else. Like, okay, if I'm doing down back 2-1 and it's getting duck launch, time to go for down back 2. Time to go for, I don't know, a different mid. Time to go for down forward 1 to check instead. Time to go for 3-3 to check instead. You know? So Raven's about varying options and just reacting to what they're doing. So sometimes you can use immediate timing. Sometimes you can use, you know, sometimes you can parry. Just depends on what the opponent is doing. Okay, so the last section is going to be how to use Raven's heat and optimal combos using heat as well. But first of all, I'm just going to talk about what you would do in heat. Now, I'm going to put the HUD on so you can see like the health bars and the chip damage and all that stuff. So the easiest way to get into heat is literally just heat burst or cancelling the heat burst. But this is actually punishable. If you do this, you can be punished for it. So only do it like if you've, you know, done some wall carry, you can cancel it. And there's not really much they can do about that. But yeah, if you want to be sure, get in range and heat burst. That's a good way to get into heat. Or a heat engager. Like if you land like a Soul Zone 2, a 1+2, back turn 4. They're all heat engagers, so you will be in heat. So let's talk about when Raven's in heat, because getting into heat is not the problem. It's while he's in heat what we need to be doing while he's in heat. So let's just put activate heat. Raven becomes strong when you use all of Raven's tools. I'm going to go back to the movement. This is a safe launcher in heat. Safe launcher in heat. Also a safe launcher in heat that's +5 on block. So immediately now, the mix becomes so scary between like his lows and that safe mid. It's a safe launcher. It's literally a safe launcher that does 32 damage. Look, I'm using a pad, just so you know, it's doable on a pad. But that's 69 damage from a safe launcher in heat. So immediately his crouch dash mix becomes insane. Same with this one. Safe in heat. Safe in heat. Safe in heat. Like, Raven becomes ridiculous in heat. That's his crouch dash mix. What happens when he blocks these attacks is, look at the chip. Look at the chip damage. Now, all of his clone attacks, so while standing 3-2, back turn 2-2-1, while standing 3-2, QCF 1-2, pretty much all of his clone attacks become -3 on block from -14. So opponents can't launch this anymore or heavily punish it. Like, look at the chip. And sometimes if the opponent knows that it's -3, they might try and throw a jab in there, or they might try to throw a mid check in there. Well, guess what? I can sidestep. So again, it's all about reading what the opponent's doing. Throw a down forward 3 in there to high crush, sidestep. Throw a back 2 in there. There's a lot of stuff you can do if you know the opponent is not going to respect these clones, which most of the time they are, to be fair. I haven't had many players disrespect this, and it's not even a frame trap, but because, you know, they're seeing clones flying at you on the screen, it's crazy. Like, look at this chip. What's gonna happen now? You're gonna get mixed. What's gonna happen now? You're gonna get mixed. You know? It's just about how creative you are with the character. You know, he becomes really ridiculous in Heat, I'm not gonna lie. Running 3-4 is excellent for plus frames as well. Even though I don't really use it that much, I would prefer to, you know, chip them out with this. So you can actually do up to 2 Heat moves and then Heat Smash. So that gives you enough time to do Heat Smash, because what's going to happen if you do 3 attacks is you're going to run out of Heat. Unless, now this is where Raven gets really cool, is if a clone hits them, you get Heat back. Look at the Heat meter. So it's going down. If a yellow clone hits or an orange clone hits them, you gain Heat back. So that allows you, like, let's say for example I did this, now I'm going to be able to do 2 more without running out. So that's 3. Now I'm going to be able to do 4 clones if it hits, and so on and so forth. So paying attention to the Heat meter is really important as well, and knowing what happens to your Heat meter on hit, because that means you can do more Heat stuff, and it gives you longer in Heat, and it gives you more of an opportunity to place the Heat Smash as well. And this hits from about range 3. About range 3, yeah, give or take about range 3. Last but not least, Heat Smash. Now this got buffed from 44 damage to 55 damage, so the damage is insane. It wall breaks, it balcony breaks, and it's plus 14 on block into stance. So I'm gonna try and do max range around here. Looks about max, right? It's probably gonna be -13, yeah, but there is an instance where you can actually space to be -12. But just a rule of thumb, if you space it kind of max distance, you will be -13. So most characters can't actually launch you for it. So you can do Soul Zone 2 as well, which is another guess. Or obviously the low. And if you don't do it max range, you can get a Soul Zone 3 as well. But yeah, those are the topics I wanted to cover in the advanced guide. This is probably going to be a very long video. I'm sorry, but Raven is Raven, right? So I'm going to try and shave it down as much as possible, with it still being cohesive. Let me know in the comments what you think about Raven. Have you enjoyed Raven in the game so far? Have you enjoyed your journey with Raven on ranked, whether it be sets with friends? You know, I've really enjoyed Raven. You know, he plays nothing like Master Raven, and I feel like that is really refreshing and a breath of fresh air, you know. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about Raven. Let me know if you are looking to pick Raven up, and if you are, you're on the wrong video. Go watch my beginner guide if you want to pick up Raven. And then once you're proficient with Raven, head back to this video, give this video a watch or a skim through. It's going to be timestamped as well. So if you want to know, like, okay, how do I get people to respect me? You can just jump to it. Or if you want to know how to abuse Raven in Heat, you can jump to the end of the video. It will be timestamped, so it's going to be a little bit easier to navigate as well. So that's good. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm, and just to let me know that you are enjoying the content. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.